Hi everyone. So today we are going to talk about gravity and get a little bit more in depth on gravity. Alright, so quick definition reminder. Gravity is a force that exists between any two objects with mass. So we always think about gravity as the thing that pulls us down to Earth and the thing that makes the apple fall and all of that stuff. But gravity is actually existing between any two things that have mass. And we think of not having gravity as this idea of like floating around. That is what would happen if there was no gravity at all. And that's why you see in astronauts, when you're watching footage of astronauts before they've landed on any particular, like on the moon or anything, there's a lot of floating because they are not very close to any large objects with mass, although of course they're inside their spaceship, which does have mass. All right. So a couple of important things to remember about gravity. Gravity increases as mass increases. So things that are bigger and have more mass have more gravitational pull than smaller objects. And that's why we always think of the Earth as the only thing with gravity, because it's so much bigger than anything else that we deal with in our daily lives. That is the only thing that really matters, that it has gravity nearby. However, everything in this room that I'm in has gravity because all of it has mass. And so there are tiny gravitational pulls between me and the chair that's across the room, or me and the computer that's on my lap. All right. So another way to think about this idea of gravity increasing with mass is to think about the different planets in the solar system. So a way of thinking about gravity is on planets is about how it pulls us down to Earth and makes us weigh a certain amount. So we weigh a certain amount on Earth because when you stand on a scale, you are being pulled down to the center of the Earth, and that scale is measuring how much gravity is pulling you down. So if you were to stand on a scale on the moon, and let's say you weighed 100 pounds on Earth, if you stood on a scale on the moon, you would weigh 17 pounds. And that's because the moon is significantly smaller than Earth, so it has less gravitational pull, so you would weigh less. And you can see that in images of people walking on the moon. The way that that's shown is they can bounce either higher or they just come down more slowly. And it's the same thing with all of these smaller planets. You would weigh less on all of those planets. But then we get to the bigger planets, and you would weigh a lot more on those planets because they have so much more gravitational pull. So Jupiter is the biggest, or the most massive planet. And so somebody who weighs 100 pounds on Earth would weigh 253 pounds on Jupiter. And that would mean that it would be extremely hard to walk on Jupiter. It would be really hard to lift up your feet if you were trying to walk on Jupiter because the gravity is so much stronger there. One other thing to think about, though, here is that we're not actually very close to Jupiter. So the reason that, even though Jupiter is many times larger than Earth, the fact that it's so far away means that it is not actually pulling on us right now, or not pulling on us very much. All right, so that brings us to the other thing. Gravity decreases as distance increases. So objects that are further apart are not as attracted to each other. There's less gravitational pull between us and things that are super far away. So Jupiter on an average day is about 500 million miles away from us. So even though it's way bigger than Earth, it doesn't pull on us as much as Earth because it's so far away. So gravity decreases as distance increases. All right, and there's just another image of an astronaut moving on the moon. So they're not actually going up that high because they have this, their gear weighs so much that they can't actually jump that high in this. But you can see by the pace that they're coming back down, like how slowly they come back down to the moon's surface, that they do weigh less because there's less gravitational pull. All right, so just two things that I want you to remember from this. Gravity increases with mass and decreases with distance. So objects that have more mass have more gravity. Objects that are further away have less gravitational pull. All right, go ahead and finish out, fill out the questions that are attached to this assignment. I'll see you in class.